Hello, and I am Alphonso McGriff III, and this is Alphonso Speaks. Alphonso Speaks is a platform where I share information about the conscious conversation experience. First, I'd like to tell you about the Taste of the Caribbean Arts and Culture Connecticut Inc. presents Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival, Saturday, August 1st, 2026. Again, that takes place on Saturday, August 1st, 2026, from at the riverfront from 11 to 8:45. The Taste of the Caribbean Arts and Culture Connecticut Inc. presents Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival, Saturday, August 1st, 2026. And again, that will be at the riverfront, downtown Hartford, riverfront. So if make some time to come out. It's going to be a lot of stuff. It's a children's village where they have things set up for young people to do. And then they also have two stages. They have an upper stage and a lower stage where there'll be constant performances and different things going on, music, fun, food, a little bit of everything going on. So if you can make it, come on out. Saturday, August 1st, Riverfront. The Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival. And also, the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz begins tomorrow night. Tomorrow night in Hartford, Connecticut. Tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, 17th, 18th, and 19th of July. I was invited to do a poem. It will be a tribute to Black women. It's called For You, There Are No Words. I always say that I think all women are special because women help sustain human life on this planet, and that's a big deal. That is a big deal. However, I was raised by Black women, around Black women, and saw their challenges and struggles and those kind of things. So this is what inspired me to write this poem, and that's why it's a tribute to Black women. So tomorrow night I'll be doing this poem at the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz, somewhere around 9 o'clock p.m. Tomorrow night, somewhere around 9 o'clock p.m. If you can make it, come on out and support. I definitely appreciate it. Support the festival itself. There'll be vendors and food and all kind of wonderful things there as well. So, and not especially the people. People come out to have a good time and enjoy the music and enjoy the ambiance and the atmosphere. So tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, 17th, 18th, and 19th, the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz. And I feel that it's an honor and privilege to be able to actually take part and participate at the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz. So if you can make it out, come on out and enjoy yourself one of those 3 days, if not all 3 days. And I also want to put on the table that I'm always willing at this point to speak with young people every single day. You know, I get on social media to post my information about conscious conversation experience, about my book, The Roots of a Tree, The Genesis of a Conscious Conversation. And when I'm on social media, the first thing I see, this is The Roots of a Tree, The Genesis of a Conscious Conversation. This is the book I wrote that focuses on how we can become better with how we verbally interact with one another. And that's my focus. And that's what I decided that I would do to make a contribution. Write the book, and then also share information about how we can be better. So if you want to have a conscious conversation, you want to have a one-on-one, you want to have it with a group, or you have a group of young people, I am willing to get together with you so we can have a conscious conversation. This is my mission. This is my purpose. A lot of times we have difficulty finding our purpose and knowing what our purpose is. And fortunately for me, this is my purpose for existing, to help us have less conflict. That's what I decided to do, to help us have less conflict. Now, because I'm going to be at the Jazz Festival tomorrow night, which is the 17th of July, I will not be on live tomorrow night. But that doesn't mean I won't pop up on Saturday or Sunday, because it's always possible that I might want to share something. So, as I was saying earlier, every time I get on social media, because I'm on social media a lot, inside of 30 seconds, there's a video of a fight. Without a doubt, 100% of the time, not a high percentage of the time, not 90% of the time. Somebody told me that that's the algorithm because that's what I look at. And I said, no, I don't spend time watching fights. I just get on my social media, and inside 30 seconds of fight, as I scroll, there's a fight. And so this is being promoted, conflict and confrontation, and my life purpose is to not battle against that, but be proactive in trying to become better myself with how I interact with people and assist others who have a desire to be better. So it's my life purpose. The conscious conversation experience is a collaboration and movement that chooses love and enlightenment. Last night, if you didn't see it, it was episode 17, where I discussed in a certain amount of detail what love is to me and what love means to me. So when I talk about choosing love, then the love I'm speaking in reference to is the love that I explained in episode, I think it was episode 17. So if you want to check that out, you can. And we talk about resolution, the successful solving of a problem. What is the point of arguing back and forth if we have no interest in understanding each other and solving the problem, coming to resolution? This argument and fight thing is just, it has become a norm, the norm in our setup. And I'm here to help myself and people around the world transform conflict into conscious conversation that leads to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. And for some, that sounds idealistic. And anytime somebody wants to do something that's different, that's out of the ordinary, it sounds idealistic at first until people start applying it and checking it out and seeing how it works for them. And then it becomes not so idealistic. It becomes a way to be better. So what is a conscious conversation? A conscious conversation is a verbal interaction where we speak with the desire to understand. We ask questions and we share information. We take responsibility for our thoughts, words, and actions and control our prejudices and emotions, which, if left unchecked, will disrupt the goal of having a conscious conversation. The strength of a conscious conversation is its ability to inspire rather than manipulate. Ultimately, the conscious conversation experience is a pathway to understanding, resolution, and enlightenment. And there's a warning I always read with this, and the warning is, I've learned that developing myself can lead to unnecessary challenges with insecure people who are intimidated by those who have a sense of self. It's not our problem, but it is one of the consequences and challenges associated with personal growth. So as I work on myself, and I'm sure as you do the same, and you begin growing and evolving and developing your self-love, self-respect, and self-responsibility, there are going to be some people that might have to fall by the wayside because they become intimidated by the fact that you're trying to improve yourself and they have made a decision and chosen not to. So, personal growth and sense of self can be extremely intimidating to some people. And like I said last night, there's nobody that I can walk into a room with and feel intimidated by because my attitude is always I am in the room also. I hold nobody higher than I hold me. Nobody gets held higher than me by me. I my 4-year-old cousin one day asked me if I was a king, and I told her yes. And from that day forward, it was my responsibility to to represent that as much as possible in how I carry myself and how I interact with others and how I work to become better. So tonight, thoughts that I'm willing to have a conscious conversation about. Tonight's thought that I'm willing to have a conscious conversation about is the fact that love and conflict cannot exist in the same place at the same time. One will always be quarantined when the other is flowing freely. Love produces clarity. Confusion produces conflict, or confusion is usually the reason for conflict. So when I say love produces clarity, at all times, love starts with self at all times. And if I am clear about my self love, self respect, and self responsibility, I am also clear. So when I move in my own best interest, there's no confusion. So there's no need for conflict. A lot of times, as long as we hang around in gray areas and there's no clarity and love doesn't exist, then this confusion produces conflict. So I'm saying that love and conflict cannot exist in the same place at the same time. I hear conversations where people are talking about how much love hurts and how much they love this person, but it hurts so bad. And no, no, you just hurt. Love has nothing to do with that. Love has nothing to do with that. And the only way we can, or I can climb out of the hurt is to begin applying self love, self respect, and self responsibility. That's how I climb out of the hurt. But love does not hurt. Love is a 100% benefit based on self love, self respect, self responsibility. And last night I talked about love being putting oneself first at all times. Putting oneself first at all times. That is, that's self love. If you know good to yourself, how can you be any good to anybody else, including your kids? People say, well, I put my kids first. Yeah, okay. And then when you go fall down because you haven't been taking care of yourself, then who gonna take care of your kids? Self love has to be a part of it. So love and conflict can't exist in the same space at the same time. One will always be quarantined while the other is flowing freely. So if conflict is going to be flowing freely, or love is going to be flowing freely, they will not both be in the same place. That's just not going to happen. So that's according to me. That's not necessarily the truth, but that is according to me. If it makes sense to you, then it will be according to you as well. Now, there's something that I would like to talk about that we do, that I witnessed a serious amount of inconsistency. There's a young lady who made a song called Spin That, and it created a lot of controversy. And because an adult said, hey, you are um, a bad influence on the kids, and that's not a good thing for the kids. You're what was the term that they used? The bottom line was, the point was, you're a bad influence for the kids. And I was thinking, and they really were arguing about this and having full-fledged debates about this subject, about this song. And I was saying, that's why it's so impossible to claim we're holding somebody accountable, because you can't hold anybody accountable. You might be able to have an opinion about what they're doing and how they're doing it, but you can't hold them accountable, because then the question becomes, are you picking and choosing? Are you picking and choosing? Because if you have a problem with Spend That, then the question is, do you have a problem with the promotion, black folks promoting alcohol, and all alcohol has ethanol in it, and all ethanol is poisonous? So we're promoting alcohol, and we got kids influencing kids to drink alcohol. What about that? Is that a problem too? The idea of literally drinking ethanol, knowing ahead of time it's poisonous. So is there some accountability being held to those of us who are promoting alcohol? And what about those of us who are promoting all of this horrible food that we're eating, and influencing the young people to eat all of this horrible food, and we're going to hold somebody accountable for being a bad influence on the younger generation? What about that? Are we going to hold somebody accountable? Are we going to walk into all of these schools feeding the kids all of this processed food and hold them accountable? Or are we just picking and choosing? Okay, we don't like that song for the kids, so we're gonna make an issue out of that and have debates. I think influencing them to drink ethanol is pretty bad, but nobody wants to do some accountability holding when it comes to influencing young people to drink alcohol. And what about this influence with these television shows that promote materialism and being materialistic, and living this life that is impossible for a large majority of young people out here, having these extravagant sweet 16ths, and now after watching TV, they're looking for their parents to be having these extravagant sweet 16ths and taking pictures and celebrating because it's your birthday. The I'm thinking the mother should be the one that gets celebrated. She's the one that did most of the work. You just showed up. Now you need to get a whole car and a $10,000 celebration because you turned 16. What about that? Is somebody being held accountable for creating delusional young people who, when they get out here into the real world, expecting people to care and nobody cares? I mean, listen, every step of the way, somebody is trying to get over and catch you and steal your money by any means necessary and unnecessary. And the young people now, is somebody being held accountable for not preparing these young people for reality? So they go to school and do whatever they want and they don't get suspended or anything in some cases and in some school districts because the money is what's more important and they need the child in school to be able to keep the money for the budget? Is somebody being held accountable for the fact that young people are living a delusional life, some of them in school, believing everything revolves around them? So, or are we picking and choosing? Are we picking and choosing? So, it's for the group of people who are out here wanting to hold folks accountable. My question is, are you just picking and choosing based on what you feel like, or are you genuinely concerned about the welfare of our young people? That's the question. Are you genuinely concerned about the welfare of our young people? Or are you just out here babbling because you want to have an intellectual debate about accountability, but only over here in this spot with that record spin that? Only over here with that record spin that, but we don't want to talk about them drinking ethanol, which is poison. We don't want to talk about them being raised in these these educational environments, thinking the whole world revolves around them. Creating, we don't want to talk about the promotion of materialism and materialistic ways on all of these shows they're watching. We're just going to focus on the record spin that and then try to show everybody how educated we are as we hold the the people responsible of that record accountable. We be out in these streets looking kind of crazy, but that's just one man's perspective. That what I say is just my perspective. It's not necessarily the truth, but I'm just putting it out there. Let's. Is there going to be some consistency around here? You know, we are out here. They made certain types of smoking legal. So now, what about the young kids who are totally ruining their lungs with this weed smoke? There's okay, I will say for me, there's nobody that can have an intellectual discussion about, to me, about uh, plausible reasons to put smoke in our lungs and how that could benefit us. What about that? Is somebody going to hold somebody accountable for influencing our young people to smoke this weed? I don't have anything against people who smoke weed, but if you want to attack, spin that and how it potentially influences our youth, hey, 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 it's a whole lot of stuff. We come on, let's be consistent out here in these streets. But my point is, this is why it's so difficult to claim we're holding somebody accountable, because you can't hold nobody accountable but ourselves. The only person I can hold accountable is me. There's nothing I can say to you about anything you do with your life that I can call holding you accountable. There's nothing. So Dana, you out in these streets talking about that song Spin That. I'm talking about all of the other stuff that's also having an adverse influence on our young people. But we choosing to think and live in these boxes and pick and choose. You know, we can go down to the fire station any day of the week and ask them about smoke in the lungs and how that affects the lungs. Doesn't matter what kind of smoke. It could be cigarette, it could be weed, it could be whatever. Does smoke assist the lungs with being better? Uh, yeah. So anyway, again, my point was to say, first of all, we can't hold anybody else accountable for anything. You know, we think talking loud about what somebody else is doing that we don't like is holding them accountable. That's not sexy. So that is something that I wanted to put on the table tonight. And so we'll go to my next question that I do every night is, in what ways do I make decisions that hurt me? In what ways do I make decisions that hurt me? And so the question that I ask is, do I experience disappointment when people don't meet my expectations? Do I experience disappointment when people don't meet my expectations? Well, the first question I have is, does anybody meet all of their expectations of themselves? Do I meet all of my expectations of me? No. So then the question becomes, if I don't meet all of my expectations of me, how can I think that somebody else is supposed to meet all of my expectations of them? That's very unreasonable. I think that's to some degree delusional. To think and believe that somebody else is supposed to meet all of my expectations of them. That's not a reasonable way of thinking. Now, disappointment comes naturally when we expect something and it doesn't happen. But there's a way to handle that in real terms. And that is, if I allow myself to have expectations of somebody, then I have to have enough self-respect so that if they don't meet them, I am not disappointed, but I am made aware that those particular expectations that person can't meet. That's a self-respectful way of handling that, because I'm not damaging, freaking myself out mentally. So again, even if we have the right to expect things from people, if I go in a barber shop and the man has a license, he has his barber license on the wall, I look his tools over. He has all the necessary tools to give a great haircut. He looks professional. He got his apron on. He got his license hung up on the wall. And he has all the necessary equipment. He's ready for me. And he sits me down in his chair and gaffles up my haircut. If I have self-respect, then even though I had expectations, my self-respect wouldn't put me in a position to have my blood pressure all raised up, my breathing rate raised up, my heart rate raised up, adrenaline and cortisol start flowing, having an adverse effect on my immune system. I wouldn't do all of that to myself because somebody didn't meet my expectations. If I have self-respect, what I would do is say, okay, now I understand that they are not as capable as I may have thought they were. And I have to move on with self-respect so I don't leave that situation damaged. And I'm home all mad and damaged up and got my body functions all out of order. And he's sitting there taking the next customer, ready to gaffle them up too, going on about his business and taking his lunch break and eating ice cream as a snack, going on about his business while I'm all twisted to the left because he didn't meet my expectations. How reasonable is that for me? And how much self-respect can I have if I let myself get so far twisted to the left because somebody, another human being, did the same thing that I do? Sometimes they just don't meet all of my expectations. So I wanted to talk about that. Do I experience disappointment when people don't meet my expectations? I think it's human to some degree to be a little disappointed. And I think the more we get in touch with ourselves, we love ourselves, we respect ourselves, and we take full responsibility for ourselves, the more we do that, the less disappointment we'll experience when people don't necessarily meet our expectations. So, those are some of the things I wanted to put on the table tonight. Just as a reminder, the Taste of the Caribbean Arts and Culture Connecticut Inc. presents Hartford, Connecticut's Taste of the Caribbean Jerk Festival, Saturday, August 1st, 2026. And the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz, Hartford, Connecticut. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 17th, 18th, and 19th of July, which is tomorrow night it starts. I was invited to do a poem. It will be a tribute to Black women. It's called For You There Are No Words. I personally think all women are special because they are responsible for sustaining human life on this planet. So I believe all women are special. But I was raised by Black women, and I personally experienced them and a lot of the challenges that they encountered while raising me and me watching them raise others. So I did write a special tribute poem for Black women. And that's the poem that I will share tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, somewhere around 9 o'clock p.m. tomorrow night. And I think this is a great privilege and opportunity to be able to stand before your people and represent something that's important to you. And of course, I thank my man Charles Christie, who who's the big man with the Festival of Jazz. He and his daughter put me on the schedule. So I definitely appreciate that. If you see Charles Christie or his daughter, give them both a nod. I'm sure his wife is involved. Give all three of them a nod. Hey, thanks for letting Alphonso do his thing. And Charles Christie, he kind of, not kind of, but he blessed me with this name um, that he calls me Professor McGriff for his reasons. And that's a cool name. I don't have a problem with it. But anyway, again, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock p.m., I will be at the 35th anniversary of the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz. Opening night, 9 o'clock p.m., doing a special tribute to Black women. So if you can be there, try to make it. Also to remind you that if you are interested in having a conscious conversation, if you have a group, or if you have a group of young people, or even if you want to have a one-on-one conversation to talk about some of the things I talk about, I'm open for that. I'm not trying to ask you for any money or anything at this point, at this stage. I'm just willing to share what I have with anybody who is interested in understanding what I have to share. So I'm wide open. Let's make it happen. Inbox me on Facebook at Alphonso Speaks, and we can make it happen. Dana, Miss D McGriff, thanks for hanging out. Uh, Derek G. McGriff, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate your company tonight. I see you got a lot to say about that song, Dana. But again, my whole point in talking tonight was that it's a far bigger picture than that song. It's just not about that song. It's about us, and are we thinking in boxes or operating in boxes? Or are we genuinely concerned about the welfare of our young people? And if we are genuinely concerned about the welfare of our young people, we don't start flipping out only about this one song in this one box, and then don't say nothing about everything else. That speaks to our mindset, and it's not sexy. And I'll be trying to be sexy, so I'm just saying. You could be doing anything right now in this very moment, and you chose to give me some of your time in your life. I do not take it for granted. I love you all, and I always will. And I will never give up on our people, ever. Again, I will not be on tomorrow night because I'll be at the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz on the 35th anniversary. I'll be there 9 o'clock p.m. I'll be doing a special poem for Black women for you that are no words. Have a good night. Peace.